step up, step up. Who among you is not ready for a tale of high adventure, mythical creatures, and the most amazing man you'll ever meet? Yes, it is I, Dr. Elphias Mecurio, inviting you to step up, mesdames and messieurs, my dominant herren, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dr. Mecurio's Mythical Marvels and Traveling Menagerie.
So just like that, we are off in search of dragons. And just like that, I go from picking a pocket or two to playing nursemaid to the sweetest and, unfortunately, most fragrant beast I have ever had the pleasure to have known. The doctor has named her Ping Ping due to the noise she makes when she plays in the moon's boiler pipes. The first destination on our quest took us to the deepest, darkest jungles of Unsa Unsa. According to the parchment, the alchemist left the egg in the care of the shamans of Watapati tribe. It would be my job to liberate the egg from its sacred shrine. Since we were still 3 days out from the Dark Continent, so named as the jungles are so thick that below the canopy it is eternal night, I decided to learn more about what we were up against. So I hoisted my little blue friend up on my shoulder and set off for the library. The ship's library consisted of a worn copy of Improbable's Dimensional Dictionary, as well as a 32-volume set of the Doctor's own reference books, the Encyclopedia Mercurium, which is, according to Mecurio, the Dimension's most extensive, complete, and highly biased authority on the flora, fauna, and geographical layout of the Dimension of Improbable. I selected the appropriate volume from the shelf and sat down to read up on the Watapattis. The tribe had adapted to the dark jungles of Unsa Unsa by doing away with all forms of normal daylight activities. Things like work, morning wake-up shows, and brunch had been replaced with fermented drinks, hallucinogenic fungi, non-stop dancing for 20 of their 25-hour day, or should we say, night. During the Watapati's short rest period, they ate, bathed, slept, studied for finals, and conceived little Watapatis. The tribe abhors strangers, as well as any contact at all from the outside world. They refer to unwelcomed visitors as crashers. It is said that if a crasher intrudes on the Watapati's gathering, then they are taken by the village peacekeepers, known as the designated divers, out clubbing, which literally means being taken out and clubbed senseless until dead. Said designated divers are found high in the rafters of the tribe's communal temple, keeping a lookout for potential crashers, as well as guarding the Watapati's most sacred relic, Disco Disco Rocky Stone, which roughly translated means that shiny rock thing the inebriated fellow gave us. The relic spins high on the temple ceiling, with candles illuminating it at all angles, causing tiny spots of multicolored light to fill the Watapati's temple, enhancing their revelries. After reading this, I surmised that the stone was actually the second dragon crystal, and that liberating it would be no easy task. But as always, the good doctor had a plan.
A plan so cunning that I have impressed even myself.
Oh, that's wonderful, sir. Can we be so bold as to ask what it is?
It is a 3-part plan, rather genius in its simplicity. Part 1, we carefully sneak into the temple. Part B, Penelope purloins the egg. Part 3, we sneak back out.
Sneak in, steal it, sneak out? I could have come up with that on my own.
Really, Percy, could you have come up with dressing ourselves as Watapati temple dancers?
Well, no.
And are you familiar with the sleeping habits of the designated divers guarding the egg?
Well, no.
So the only part of my plan that you could possibly have come up with is the running away part.
Oh, I'm very good at that, sir.
Percy, I don't know what I'd do without you.
I say we should explore the options.
I'll make a list.
Oh, ha ha.
Shut it, Percy. Ladies, let's stop the pick on the Percy party and let's get on with hearing Dr. Mecurio's plan.
Thank you, Florence. Penelope, Percy, and myself will disguise ourselves as Watapatis and join the festivities moments before the end, during the time known as Last Kali. This is the time that the Watapatis stop dancing to perform bodily functions and rest. Fortunately for us, This is also the time that the designated divers are allowed to sleep. Unfortunately, they sleep in the rafters next to our egg. Miss Primrose, this is where your stealth comes into play. While Percy distracts the designated divers, you'll shimmy up the temple center pole, snatch our prize, toss it down to me, and we'll make our escape, just as their freaky fungi intoxication reaches the travel-sphere stage. Or as the water party calls it, trip balls.
A brilliant plan as always, Doctor.
Isn't it, though? Sprocket, you stay aboard the moon. Keep the boiler stoked in case of our usual hasty retreat. Sadie, you'll be stationed at the jungles to cover our escape.
If there's a problem, Doc, do you want I should shoot them or blow them up?
My dear Sadie, the water party are a peaceful tribe. We will not be rushing in there like a pack of wild colonials blowing up indigenous peoples.
Just steal their sacred relics, huh?
Exactly. I suggest that some kind of pyrotechnic display. Make it pretty, as the effects of their hallucinogenic fungi should be peaking at that time, and with any luck at all, we'll be able to slip away between the oohs and the ahs.
Well, I don't think it's such a great plan. Just how am I supposed to distract two hulking men? And more importantly, what is going to keep them from clubbing my brains out if it goes wrong?
Not to worry, Percy. A, I have a disguise so cunning that your own sister won't recognize you, and 2, one needs to have a brain in order to club it out. How long before we arrive, Florence?
30 minutes as the griffin flies, sir.
Jolly good. Sadie, gather the fireworks and don your jungle camouflage. Miss Primrose, I have taken the liberty of laying out a traditional water party dance ensemble consisting of a grass skirt, a brightly beaded chemise, and a rucksack shaped like a rainbow bear. Prepare yourselves and meet me on deck for the final inspection in 20 minutes.
What should I do, Doctor?
Oh, you'll be coming with me. For once, dear boy, I have a job that is perfectly suited for your particular skill set.
Circus clown?
Village idiot.
A doorstop?
All wonderful deductions, but no, this time we are in need of someone to pull off a, shall we say, a dicey fashion choice. Florence, I'll need you to pilot the moon as near to the village as possible, as the jungles are teeming with carnivorous rainbow bears and pretty plur ponies. And Florence?
Yes, sir?
I will need you to lend me some of your reddest lipstick, and maybe some rouge as well, as I need to create a silk purse from a sow's ear.
Minutes later, Sadie and I were on deck while Sprocket brought the moon in low enough to disembark. I not only looked, but felt absurd in my disguise. The grass skirt was terribly itchy, and beaded top left little to the imagination. Sadie was dressed in all black in what she called her stealing clothes, 2 bandoliers of ammo strapped across her chest. She was doing a quick inventory on the fireworks the doctor had asked her to bring. As usual, she had overpacked a bit.
14, 15, 16. So that's 20 white small mortars and 16 big red blossoms. You think I should get some of those bunker busters? The green would be a nice touch.
If I remember right, Mercurio's plan was to distract the tribe while we slipped out, not bring the whole bloody jungle canopy down on top of them.
Well, as me old ma used to say, Sadie, my dear, you'll never know how much paper you're going to need until you go, so be prepared. You know what else she used to?
Before I was made to suffer through another of Sadie's mother's colourful colloquialisms, Mecurio came on deck. He was dressed as a village elder. Grass skirts of different hues and a rattan breastplate had replaced his normal clothing. A tall wicker crown had replaced his top hat and made up the rest of his ensemble. But even stranger, he was dragging a very different-looking Percy in tow. Any misgivings I had about my appearance quickly vanished after seeing my idiot brother's outfit. I recognized the costume from the entry in the Encyclopedia Mercurium. It was called the Wicker Bride, and was worn by maidens of the water party to announce their intentions to marry. The wearer is covered head to toe in a wedding dress woven from wicker reeds. The only part visible is the girl's lips, which are always painted bright red. To make matters worse, the gown also had a defense feature against overzealous suitors. Sticking out of every nook and cranny were 3-inch wicker reeds sharpened to fine points. The whole thing made Percy look like a wooden porcupine.
Tell me why I have to wear this again. I'm allergic to grass, you know. Oh, I feel stupid in this.
I think you look as sweet as a little pie, Purse.
Really?
No?
You look like an emaciated hedgehog.
We have arrived. Really, Percy, that lipstick is not your color.
Now that we all agree that Pussy looks like dragon dung in a dress, can we get this mission underway? Sadie, I see you prepared for a feast instead of a simple picnic. Is all of this necessary?
It is if you want a nice finale. Really, what's the sense of having a fireworks show without a big finish? Ain't nothing makes you happier than a big finish, as me old ma used to say.
Yes, always a fountain of knowledge, your mother. Well, load it up and get it on the ground. You can set it up in that stand of trees over there. Miss Primrose, I'll need you to help our blushing bride be her attendant in waiting. I, of course, will be the father of the bride. We'll enter during the rest period. And with any luck at all, this beautiful creature will tempt the designated divers down from their post. At that point, you slip away, shimmy up the tent pole, and retrieve the egg.
Do you think I'm beautiful, sir?
Yes, only to another emaciated porcupine, or a temple guard who's in the throes of an hallucinogenic fungi fit. Florence, take the mood above the canopy and wait for Sadie's big finale.
Ooh, should be really pretty from up there. Sadie, mind that you don't blow me out of the sky.
Never gonna let me live that down, are you, Florence?
A short time later, we were hacking our way through the dense underbrush toward the throbbing sounds of the water party village and the temple within. Percy, as usual, was making the going slower than usual. The spikes on his outfit were skewering everything in their path. Leaves, insects, small reptiles, nothing was safe from this spiky juggernaut. Reaching the edge of the clearing, we entered the world of the water parties. Everywhere you looked, people were dancing. Men, women, children, even babies were jumping about, raising their arms and swaying their backsides. The music was infectious, rhythmic and repetitive. Even the doctor had developed a bit of a wiggle upon entering the village. Percy was shaking about so much, he was sending all the skewered jungle life flying about in all directions. And then it all suddenly stopped. As if in a daze, the water parties stopped their revelries and filed from the huge temple. Once they returned to their communal living areas, they plopped on the ground and formed chains of 10 to 20 people in a circle. They began to give the person in front of them a shoulder rub, all while passing a bag of menthol between them.
Now's our chance. Quick, into the temple, and for God's sake, act natural.
We immediately fell into line and began to rub the shoulders of the person in front. Disguised as the elder, Mecurio was in front of Percy, as dutiful daughter feebly attempting to rub the doctor's broad shoulders. That left me, as the lowly attendant, to find a way to massage my little brother's bony, spiked shoulders.
Could you rub my neck while you're at it, Penelope? This headdress weighs a ton and I'm carrying a lot of tension here. What if the guards don't find me attractive?
Risking wicker splinters, I throttled my brother's scrawny neck. They'll like you even less without a head, you silly git.
Quiet, both of you. Our trophy lies ahead. Let's try not to muck this up.
As I was about to cuff my brother in the skull, I froze for a moment, for when we entered the quiet temple of the water parties, we found ourselves bathed in millions of tiny pinpoints of brilliant light. So brilliant, you'd have thought the stars themselves had come down from the sky to join the dance. And at the highest point of the temple roof, spinning from a golden chain, was what we had come looking for, a dazzling crystal dragon egg. Unfortunately, sitting in the rafters, taking turns giving each other shoulder rubs, were two of the largest men I had ever seen.
Please tell me those aren't the...
Yes, the designated divers. Everyone follow my lead. Percy, make yourself as alluring as possible.
How am I supposed to do that inside this silly basket?
Well, your lips are quite visible. If I remember right, you're to announce your intentions by making your lips so fascinating that prospective suitors will risk getting horribly poked by your wicker ornament, just to give you a peck.
You didn't tell me they were going to try to kiss me.
Yes, I believe I blocked that bit of information out, as the thought of anyone wanting to kiss you gives me pause, Percy. You need to use your feminine wiles and avoid getting kissed by those men long enough for Miss Primrose to scale up and nab the eggs.
So, am I to entice them to kiss me, but not let them kiss me?
Exactly.
And what do I do if one of them happens to kiss me?
Pick out curtains, of course. Look, they've noticed you already. It's showtime.
The designated divers switched their attention from each other and eyed us warily as we approached the center pole.
Turn on the charm, Percy.
In what I can only describe as a sick fish gasping for air, Percy puckered up and pranced about under the pole. Whatever it was, it caught their attention as they suddenly leaped from their perches straight for us. Just as I thought they were going to land directly on top of us, they suddenly stopped and ricocheted back in the other direction. It seemed that they were both attached to huge rubber bands at the ankle. For a moment, they spun up and down on their tethers like synchronized yo-yos, gently coming to a stop on either side of my trembling sibling. Seeing that they were both extremely focused on his ridiculous display, I quietly ascended into the rafters after our prize. The doctor covered my exit by stepping forward to introduce the fair Wicker bride to her prospective suitors.
Shall I say dude? Dude. Dude.
As I neared the top, I could no longer hear what they were saying, but from what I could see it was going well, as the two were now bobbing and weaving, trying to smooch Percy without being stabbed by the spikes. Percy was doing his best to make them work for it, while Mecurio gave me the sign to make my move, and I cut the egg free, fumbling about as I tried to tuck it quickly into my rainbow bear rucksack. Down below, the biggest of the two designated divers managed to swoop Percy up and plant a peck on his startled face. Unfortunately, he also ended up skewering his face on the mask, which pulled off Percy's head with a loud crack. The large guard cried out in distress as he tossed my little brother to the ground, knocking him out of his wicker accoutrement, while trying to pry the mask from his injured face. With a fast tug, he tore it off and stared at Percy. But instead of realizing our charade, he seemed to be more enamored with the sight of my brother, falling to one knee, ready to pop the question. It was at that time diver number 2 looked up and noticed that their sacred light was being stuffed into my sack. The jig, as they say, was up. It was time once again for a hasty retreat. Before they knew what hit them, the doctor grabbed the rubber straps attached to the divers and in one smooth motion pulled his machete, cut the bands free, and snatched Percy by the scruff of his neck as the elastic rope propelled them both up into the rafters.
All right, it's not going to take them long to make their way up here, so let's scamper across the beam here and out through that vent in the roof.
The beam's too small to scamper. I'm afraid of heights. What if I fall?
I believe the word you're looking for, Percy, is dead. Unless your new paramour happens to catch you, which in that case you'll have to decide what china pattern to put on your registry. Now shut up and let's get out of here.
Not needing to be told twice, I made my way across the long beam toward the vent. Mecurio came quickly up behind me, showing a grace not befitting his large frame.
Come along, Percy.
But what if I fall?
Don't be stupid, Percy. I told you, you'll die. Now do come along. We have a dragon to hatch.
As we anxiously waited for my simpering sibling to make his way across the precarious perch, I noticed that the designated divers had made their way up to our level and were beginning to step out onto the beam. Percy, of course, was taking his sweet time, looking like a blind wire walker. To make matters worse, he evidently was allergic to wicker, as his entire body was beginning to break out in huge hives.
It itches!
All the more reason to hurry, dear boy. There's a bathtub full of calamine lotion waiting for you aboard the moon.
That seemed to be all the motivation Percy needed as he quickly joined us at the vent. As we crawled through, I turned to glimpse the guards quickly making their way toward us, so I took the liberty of pulling a vial of oil from my sack and squirting it on the last few remaining feet of the beam. It had the desired effect, as the large diver slipped hard enough to fall. He was quickly snatched up by the smaller one who pulled him to safety. Seeing the way blocked, they were forced to turn around, hopefully buying us some time to make our getaway. As I made my way out to the temple's steep sloping roof, I found Mecurio arguing with Percy. Then without so much as a by your leave, he pushed Percy, who slid down the roof and over the edge. Before I could question the doctor about my brother's apparent murder, Mecurio dropped to his bum, slid over the edge after him. In for a penny, in for a pound, I thought, so placing more trust in Dr. Mecurio than usual, I dropped to my backside and slid down. I fell for about 10 feet before having my fall slowed by a series of canopies, finally ending on top of Percy, who was lying atop a tremendous pile of rainbow bear rucksacks.
Nice of you to finally join us, Miss Primrose.
You pushed me!
Yes, I did. Be glad we came out the right vent, though, as there was a stall on the other side selling spears, which I predict will be selling like wildfire as soon as the water parties find out the egg is missing. Oh, there's the music. They're calling them back to temple for morning zen. Everyone, do try to blend in, and we just may dance our way out of this.
Our ability to blend in was a little compromised as everyone seemed to notice that we were going the wrong way. Combine that with the fact that Percy, no longer in his Wicker fashions, was practically naked, with only a rainbow bear pelt wrapped around his nethers. To make matters worse, we were just a few yards away from the tree line and safety when there was a shout from behind us.
Well, Percy, it seems your fiancé is not taking the breakup well.
I turned to see Percy's paramour yelling in what a party. I didn't quite catch it all. From what I could interpret, he had a desire to chop us into tiny bits to season his fish. Unfortunately for us, he was coming up quickly behind us with the wedding party in tow, who seemed to bear similar intentions. We had a comfortable lead, and I thought for the briefest of moments that we were home free. But alas, it was not to be, as directly in front of us, from out of the jungle, came another group of angry water parties running towards us, their pupils huge and dilated from the fungi.
We're trapped! Trapped like rats!
Well, in your case, a naked mole rat. Really, Percy, why the sight of your hive-covered naked form hasn't scared these savages off is a true testament to how inebriated they really are.
As the angry tribe inched their way closer, their spears extended and their clubs raised high, I marveled at how calm the doctor remained. I trust that you have a plan, sir?
When do I not, Miss Primrose?
Well, whatever it is, you better do it quick.
Shut your gob, Percy!
As much as I hated to agree with my simpering sibling, I too felt as if our luck had run out. But then... huge red mortars blossomed in the sky, taking the shape of a rising phoenix, fading away into glowing sparks, and bursting through the cloud of falling ash, the harvest moon, blaring music from her bullhorns. Sadie followed the first round with a barrage of sparkling white rockets with bursts of green in the center. The stunned water parties forgot about us immediately, choosing instead to sit cross-legged on the ground, staring skyward and saying, "Ooh, ah," after every burst.
And that is our cue to exit, my dears. Do come along, Percy.
It's so pretty, though.
Not half as pretty as the pickle will be in if Sadie runs out of mortars. Come along, Percy.
And not nearly as pretty as your fiancé thought you were.
Well, who can blame him? I'm sure he'll be devastated. Let's go.
And with that, we made our way back to the rendezvous and joined Sprocket and Sadie on board, leaving the confused water parties behind us with our hides and treasure intact.
Oh my, what happened then?
Well, he went to kiss him and skewered his face to the mask, exposing our charade.
No, he didn't!
What did he do when he saw that it was Percy who he had betrothed himself to?
He got down on one knee and proposed.
It's like me old ma used to say, there's a seat for every bum.
Our jocularity was interrupted by a lurch so strong it nearly knocked us to the deck, followed by a tremendous banging in the pipes over our heads. Ping Ping, my little blue dragon, became very excited as I felt her serpentine form tighten ever so slightly around my shoulders. She was yipping excitedly and letting out her horrendous tiny toots one after another.
I venture to say, based on that thing and our fragrant little friend here, that the wee egg has hatched and you have a new pet to watch over. I wonder what kind.
Before she could finish her thought, Percy burst into the room, looking as dishevelled as always, wearing nothing but a towel. His skin was a hideous shade of pink as he'd been soaking in a tub of calamine lotion since returning to the moon.
Why, if it isn't the blushing bride. Nice outfit, Percy. Let me guess, it's part of your bridal trousseau?
Ha ha, very funny, Sadie. I'm sorry I'm not wearing my corset, as I'm afraid my sides may split from laughter.
What's so important that made you storm in here with nary a stitch of clothing on, young man?
I was sitting in my tub when I was thrown from it violently, and there was a loud bang. So excuse me, ladies, as fleeing this decrepit gas bag is more important than your delicate sensibilities.
There's nothing wrong with the ship, which is more than I can say for you, Percy. And if you must know, all that fuss happened when the doctor's dragon egg hatched.
Not another one! I already have to clean up after this monster here.
In response, Ping Ping lifted her plumed tail and blew out another toot and fanned her tail to waft it in Percy's general direction.
Why is it my lot in life to have to suffer such indignities? I wonder what kind of dragging this one will be.
As if in answer to my brother's question, Mecurio burst into the room, being pulled along by a spiky little copper-coloured dragon at the end of a chain leash. It was plump as a piggy with a long neck. Its face was almost bird-like, as it had a beak at the end of its snout. On its back were what I surmised as being the beginning formation of wings, but its most striking feature was its enormous green and gold eyes, making it almost as adorable as my little Ting.
Ladies and gent, allow me to introduce our latest charge. This, my dears, is a rancorous grumbledew. They are found high in the mountains of Carpathia. They are also capable of short-distance flight, and when fully grown, are capable of blasting out flames that can melt a suit of armor. I believe I will call her Incendic.
Oh, that's not a proper name for one with eyes this pretty. I believe I will call you Precious.
This little dragon sidled up to Sadie and rubbed her head against her leg in an obvious sign of affection. Sadie knelt down and cupped the little dragon's head between her hand and Gatling gun. The dragon sniffed first at Sadie's normal hand, and then the gun attached to the other arm. Without nary a warning, it opened its mouth wide and bit the end of Sadie's arm cannon so clean you'd have thought it was a hot knife through butter. Sadie leapt back and examined her weapon. She was not harmed, just startled, as she gave our latest pet a wary eye.
She's got quite a bite on her. This was pure Middleof steel.
Oh, did I forget that Grumbleduke is perpetually hungry and has a certain fondness for metals of any sort, sort of like a fire-breathing goat. We will have to keep a very close eye on this one. Since you're so fond of her, Sadie, I will leave you in her care.
But
I feed her the same diet as our little Ping Ping, and supplement it with some of those old shell casings I told you to get rid of. Should be enough metal to keep her from making a meal out of the moon's pipes and fittings. And Sprocket,
Yes, sir?
written inside the egg was our next location. Set a course for the mountainous peaks of the Himalayas, which is where we will find our next dragon crystal.
Right away, Doctor.
And Percy, As the sight of you in a towel is extremely unpleasant, I find myself having to find something else for you to wear.
Oh, that's not necessary, sir.
Nonsense, dear boy, think nothing of it. As we are traveling to the frigid north, how does a new fur coat sound?
Sounds wonderful.
Splendid, my dear boy, splendid.
With that, Mercurio put his arm around Percy's shoulders and steered him away from the galley in search of his new coat, leaving the three of us standing there, wondering what Dr. Mecurio had in store for my dim-witted brother.
Dr. Mercurio's Mythical Marvels and Traveling Menageries stars the voices of Anna Maria MacLeod, Claire Wicker, Star Hagen Esquire, Ray Esquire, and Ricki Vincent as Dr. Mecurio. To learn more how you can have dragons at your next party or event, please contact Dr. Mecurio at Dr. Mecurio page at thepuppetryinstitute.org.